Good morning. Welcome back to a special edition of Gary's Movie Emporium. Today's another Wild Eye releasing review here for the movie Velocipastor. The movie states on the back it's from 2018, which I'm seeing Wikipedia says 2017. I do know it debuted at, what was it here? The Trash Film Festival on August 31st, 2018. I guess it actually was released in the United States on August 13th of 2019. The movie's an hour and 15 minutes long, and I wish there would have been more of it because I really had fun with this one. It currently gets a 5.1 on the IMDb scaled rating system they use, and it gets a 54% on RottenTomatoes. Basically, it's about a priest or a pastor, however you want to look at it. He has the collar, so I look at it as a priest, but in the name it says pastor, so we'll go with that. Basically, he sees his mom and dad killed on the steps of when he's coming down off the steps of the church, and they were killed in an explosion, and he loses his faith, and if he really, believes in the ways of God, and he's questioning his faith after his mom and father die. The elder pastor in the church, Father Stewart, tells him that he needs to go away for a while, maybe do the things that he, would like to do while not being at the church, and he gets into his head that he should go to China. And when he's there, he runs into a girl that's running through the woods, and she's being chased by a bunch of ninjas with arrows, and she's hit by one of the arrows and falls to her death. And she passes on a horned, ornament, kind of like I guess it must have some kind of like a type of power. And they either wanted it back or they didn't want it to get out, one of the two. She shot with an arrow where she hands the object to him, and in the meantime, Father, I think Doug Jones, takes the amulet. I think he half falls or something. He does do something to where he doesn't control the object, and he cuts his hand. And then after that, this object has given him the power to change into a velociraptor, which sounds kind of absurd, but that's the fun part with this movie. I've never seen one with a plot like this. This is very unique. It was well done, especially knowing that it was only shot for $35,000. That made it even more, likable for me, because they did an amazing job. But on with more about the movie. He runs into a girl named Carol who's a prostitute. Once he gets back from China, he runs into a prostitute named Carol, and she's, like I said, she's a prostitute. She really reminded me a lot of Misty Monday, the way she looked and her complexion, her stature, her mannerisms. She has a pimp. He looked an awful lot like Ron Jeremy. I don't know if that was the intentions, but he runs into her, and they kind of form a friendship. And before all of this, she's out one night walking in the woods, and he's in the woods because he needs to feed. And he bumps in. He happens to be in the same section of woods as what she's in, and he bumps into her Well, a mugger is trying to take money from her, and he gets him riled up because he wants to eat, like I say, and he wants to go all Velociraptor on him, so he kills him, and then Carol and him like are in the same room the next morning, and he thinks they've had sex, and they haven't. What it is she's talking about that he turned he turned into a creature of a dinosaur persuasion, and he just can't believe that that's happened. I mean, it does explain why his clothes are all off and stuff, but he doesn't want to believe it. And then later on, Frankie Mermaid, who is the pimp for Carol, is seen in a confessional booth, basically confessing his sins. And Doug Jones is later he's in the confessional booth taking the confessional, and he overhears that Frankie Mermaid had something to do with, well, I think he was ordered to do it or whatever. That's what I got out of it. But he murdered Pastor Doug Jones's family, mother and father, and then he kills Frankie Mermaid. And let's see. But back to the Carol and Doug Jones situation. She convinces him that he needs to rid the scum of the earth, by turning into a velociraptor and getting rid of the scummy people in the city and anyone that's, bad, like pedophiles or whatever. Meantime, they're hanging around a lot, and Father Stewart notices outside of the church that he's spending an awful lot of time being a man of the church. And he confronts him and he says, "You need to start acting like basically like a man of God, and I don't see you doing that." And Father Stewart arranges for an exorcism to happen, which all that does is bring out the inner Velociraptor inside of him. Kind of backfires, if you will. In the meantime, there's an underground drug cartel that catches wind of the Dragon Warrior, which is Father Doug Jones here. In the meantime, Carol and Doug fall in love, and basically this cartel wants global dominance with their drug ring that they're wanting to do, and Doug Jones is basically next on their hit list to take out because they know he's going to be a problem in the future if it comes to it. So he sends his band of ninjas to take on Doug, and I don't know, I guess Carol too. It's kind of funny to see Carol in action as well because, I was expecting just him to fight, and then it was her and him, and it was in the meantime, they killed Father Stewart, too, because he didn't comply with their plan. And now Doug has to face these ninjas, if you will, and fight to the death. And at some point, he bumps into one of the ninjas that's unmasked, and he notices it's his brother, and Sam. And he doesn't want to fight him, but it's like he knows he has no choice, and it's just kind of I wasn't expecting that part in the movie, but they did a well, kind of an emotional thing there, pretty good for a cheaper budgeted horror film, and I also got a very very huge vibe of Toxic Adventure. This movie felt very Toxic Adventure like to me. I don't know if anybody else got that feeling when they watched this. It's implied that Carol is cut down, being stabbed in the fight, but later she's not. I don't know, miraculously she comes back, but I could see a franchise in this series as well. And then by the end of the fight, the the bad guys are vanquished and the good guys are on top. Carol mentions there's a $1 million bounty on Doug, and from what I gather, it looks like to me they're going to be fighting in the future against some more upstart villains, if you will. And I could definitely see a sequel to this one. But like I said, the budget on this one was $35,000. Uh, it was released on August 13th, 2019. Filming locations were Manhattan, New York, and the production companies were Siphono Ventures, Hollow Free Films, and Laco Come Home. So try to see if I had some many mental, or like some mental notes that I wrote down here. But that's pretty much my review. And man, this, like I said, this movie flew by. I was not expecting it to be this entertaining. For the budget they had, it did an incredible job. Oh, and it was also directed by Brendan Steer, produced by Brandon Taylor, Jesse Goldsberry, Brendan Steer, written by Brendan Steer, starring Gregory James Cohan, Alyssa Kempensky, Daniel Steer, Ariello Voltaire, Yang Jai Chang, and Jesse Turrets. Music was done by Ali Helnwein, Daniel McCormick. Cinematography is Jesse Goldsberry. Edited by Brendan Steer. Production company, like I said, Hollow Tree Films and Laco Come Home. And the distributor was Wild Eye itself. Very impressed with this one. I would have to give this one a rating of, I'd have to say 7.5. I like this one. I had really a lot of fun with it. It's one of the better ones that I've done. Like I said, the pacing it didn't have time to have pace. It just flew by, Before I knew it was an hour in and I had like 15 minutes to go. And it's not even really 75 minutes. It's more like 71 if you don't count the credits. And it just was, the whole thing was entertaining. Sure, there was a few parts that kind of were hokey, but for the most part, it was a really fun film. I really would like a sequel. I'd like a franchise, maybe, if they can do them in this vein. I know the budget will probably be bigger too, because it's probably hard to campaign even the 35,000, because when you start out like that to make a movie, it's not always easy to get the money together. But thank you for watching, and I'll be back with Virus of the Dead, a review coming up from Wild Eye, and then after that, Russell Massacre. And that'll be all I know that I'm reviewing for now. But thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video, guys. Bye.